In this video, I'm going to go over some basic surface techniques. This isn't my model. Joe posted this model up on the forum, and it's been a pretty good thread on basic surfacing. I'm not trying to make fun of Joe. I'm just trying to help out. I, by all means, don't want to make fun of anybody. I think surfacing is really easy because just the basic constructs on how you put surfaces together. I think solid modeling is hard, but surfacing is easy. Most people fear surfaces, and there's really not a whole lot to them. And once you understand the basics, and that's kind of what I'd like to go over in this video. This is his loft, and let's go look at the definition of his loft. And basically he's going from this edge to this edge, and what ends up happening is when he was going from one edge to another edge, all surfaces have four sides. And since he's going from one edge to another edge, what's going on with those other two edges? Well, it turns out that there's a zero length edge here, and there's a zero length edge here. And back in the day, we would call those poles because those are zero length edges. And even though on this particular case, this renders properly and it looks good, it's the subsequent operations on this that's going to have issues with it. We're going to go and start working with this, and the subsequent operations aren't going to like the fact that it doesn't have four edges and how to deal with it. Let's take a look at another definition of a surface. One of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted the edge to move in the other direction. Turns out that in an extended surface, if you put in a negative dimension, it throws an error. Surface extensions do not contract the surface. It does not make the surface smaller. It doesn't shrink the surface. It basically just says, no, wrong algorithm, go pick another algorithm. Using a different technique, you can actually shorten a surface. It is different than extending the surface. And this is one of the techniques that I'll use because you want to move this edge and shrink the surface down a lot. And here's one trick to perform that operation. I'm going to use a radiated surface. Now, if you go to the feature script library, they tell you what the definition of a radiated surface is. Basically what it is I pick an edge. That edge on my part is defining the U for this particular surface. And then the V is based on another definition, which is a plane. And what that does is it sets up the direction for V. So V is coming off of U, and it is staying parallel to the originating surface. If we put this in practice, I'll take a look at the radiated surface. I just grab this edge and I pick the top plane, which defined a radiated surface. Now you'll notice that I'm not having an issue with the radiated surface as it approaches this pole, because the radiated surface is based on an edge and another plane definition to define what it's all about. So it's not going to have a problem with actually creating that particular shape. I'll come over here, I'll define an offset face associated with that. And with this, I can come in here and I can split my originating face and then delete that face. Once again, this is going to produce a trimmed surface. Now, it looks as though I extended the surface and I just took material away from it. That is not exactly what this is all about. This is a trimming operation. It's not an extend in a negative direction operation. I wish it was that easy. I wish they would do that because that's what users want. That's just not how surfaces operate. Hopefully when they give us another extend, they'll also put a retract in that capability. With this, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to extend this particular face. And I want to start showing you the base surface and its definition. Now I can go from 4 and it'll regenerate, but watch what happens when I go to 6. It fails. And the reason why it fails, there's no reason why it should be failing other than the fact that this base surface had a pole here and it just doesn't know how to behave in this particular instance at this point in time. So once again, how come this won't extend this face? Well, you got to go back to the base face and you'll see that this 0 length right here is causing some issues with this particular face. And this is typical when people are working with surfaces. They come into a problem. What you need to do is to go back to the root, and you'll find out that the base surface that was created typically has a pole in it. It was a 2-sided surface, a 3-sided surface, and it wasn't a well-formed 4-sided surface. With time, you'll start understanding and you'll build your basic faces constructs without poles, because subsequently they just behave a lot better and you'll be able to get done a lot faster what you're trying to do. So the $1,000,000 question is, how do you go about creating this geometry using 4 edges as opposed to 2? 2's easy, it seems trivial. 4, how do you really go about breaking this up and creating a 4-sided surface that's going to behave later on down the road? And those are the tough things that come up when you're dealing with surfaces. How do you create a good definition for your base surface? If I get some time, I'll see if I can't throw together some ideas on how to take this 2-sided surface and make it out of a 4-sided surface so that subsequent operations behave a little bit better. Anyway, that's it. That's all I have. Hope you learned something, and keep surfacing. It's a great way to get geometry built.